I was going to be pretty happy with my existing item randomizer PB, but item randomizer is kind of just fun, especially when it goes well. So I just did a few more runs and I managed to find this insane seed that you're now about to see once we boot up the game. And once again, this is the prepare to die edition of the game and it will not be a glitchless run, and that will immediately inform some of the decisions to be made at the start regarding character creation, where we immediately see that the warrior class starts with the Drake sword and the scimitar. That's a decent start, but this is the warrior, and the warrior doesn't get any additional equipment on top of what you can see right here. So that immediately kind of puts it at a disadvantage compared to some of the other classes. But Drake sword is a decent early game weapon, and the scimitar, if we find the large and very large embers, I mean, that can deal some decent damage in the late game. So if everything else is terrible, then we may just have to start with this. But let's look at the others. This knight has a jagged ghost blade, which is pretty good in the early game, and also a dark hand, which is also pretty good in the early game. But they can fall off pretty hard pretty soon. So I would probably prefer the warrior, if nothing else. Here on the wanderer, we have a hand axe, I believe, and a whip. Not sure which whip, it's some kind of whip. Those are terrible. On the thief, we have another hand axe and a spear, also not the greatest. I mean, the hand axe isn't the worst weapon, it's just kind of average. But when we've already seen decent weapons, so there's not much point picking this. Although the thief does start with the master key, so we can swap out this master key gift for something else. That's not terribly impactful, because like what else would you get? You can start with fire bombs that will make asylum a bit faster. You can start with divine blessing, then you don't have to rely on getting one in the run, finding one in the world. But those are not that uncommon to find. So it's really a minor upside of being able to start Thief. On the Bandit, we get the first class that actually has a shield, and then there's also a reinforced club. That's like a slightly above average weapon. The shield is useful for some things, but there's plenty of shields to find. And then the Hunter has a Quilax Fury Sword and a Lucerne. I do not care about this Lucerne. This is a Quilax Fury Sword, and I am very likely to start with this, especially because this is Hunter, and Hunter also starts with the bow and 30 arrows, which is really, really good in Prepare to Die edition. But for just to not jump ahead, let's look at the other classes. Here we have a Ghost Blade and I believe a Cestus. Those are terrible. On the Pyromancer, I already skipped ahead of the Pyromancer. That was a regular clip and a Crystal Ring Shield. Also not the greatest. Here on the Cleric, we have a Cestus again. Terrible. And on the Deprived, we have a Club and a Hand Axe. Also not really something to give up the bow for. There is one more thing to look at, and that is the spells that the magic classes start with. Here on the Cleric, we have Seek Guidance. That is useless. Here on the Pyromancer, we have Fireball, which is actually not useless. Being able to start with a Pyromancy Flame is already an advantage because there are only two of those in the game, and Power Within is a very good spell, even though there's only one of that in the game as well. But then additionally getting Fireball means that we are one homeward spell away from being able to homeward wrong warp. So if we can find that, that would be amazing. But that's kind of a gamble, and the weapon here isn't that good. And it's not like there's zero upside to the Hunter start. So this is not a seed where I would be taking this gamble. There is, however, one additional upside here, and that is the Sunlight Maggot in the head slot. This is a light source, meaning we don't need cast light for those checks that do require a light source. And even if we find it, we won't have to cast it and attune it. But also, this is basically another gamble because we might not ever need to check the checks that require a light source. So I'm just gonna go, well, first I'm gonna check the sorcerer. This is one of the soul arrows, one of the heavy soul arrows, I believe. But the damaging spells aren't really what you're looking for in the sorcerer start. You want like the utility, like the fall control and the hidden body. This is not that. So this is going to be a hunter start. I'm looking at the pyromancer there real quick, just to think about the homeward, but nah, you've got to take the Quilax Fury Sword. It's too good. So into the game, we unequip the armor. Look at the armor before you start the game, because this was heavy armor. We want to unequip that on the stand-up so that we can run slightly faster through this hallway. And also, look at where in the equipment list the Quilax Fury Sword is. Because the other weapon is a Lucerne, which is not terrible, but there's no way I'm ever going to be using it if I have a Quilax Fury Sword. So if I know which of the pickups in Asylum is the Quilax Fury Sword, I can just skip the other one, because I'm not realistically going to ever use it. And it was, I believe, the right-hand weapon, which is the second pickup. So we're just going to run out of the Asylum here and run straight past the left-hand item that's on the left here. And then, oh, never mind, it was this one. So it was the left-hand item. We're gonna immediately skip then the right-hand item, which is the second one. And then just make our way to Oscar and get to the Asylum Demon, who is not going to last very long against a boss weapon in the Asylum. So this is going to be a pretty strong start, and I even have half of a late game plan with the Quilax Fury Sword. Because if we don't get anything else, we are going to have to downgrade the Quilax Fury Sword relatively soon. Because of course it does mostly fire damage, and Quelac is a mandatory boss. Not technically mandatory, but we missed the jumping attack here, doesn't matter. He doesn't have barely enough health to live through this. But yeah, the Quelax Fury Sword does mostly fire damage, and Quelac herself will need to die and is immune to fire. So we're gonna want to downgrade this pretty soon, at least before we get to Quelac. Which means they will turn into a plus 10 curved sword, specifically because this Quelax Fury Sword was obtained in character creation. It will always downgrade into a scimitar. If you find it anywhere in the world during gameplay, it could be any curved sword, or anything that can upgrade into the Quilax Fury Sword. But if it's in character creation, this goes for any boss weapon. If you find it in character creation, it will only ever downgrade into one specific item. Oh, Elizabeth's mushrooms right at the start, that's really good. As we pick up these chests in Firelink. And there's the very large ember immediately. So now we have another quarter and a Titanite slab. So now we basically have the late game plan. Because I know that this Quilax Fury Sword will downgrade into a scimitar plus 10. I have the very large ember, meaning that I can immediately upgrade this into a plus 11 up to plus 15. The only thing I'm missing for that is the Titanite chunks, but I have a Titanite slab. I can negative dupe this Titanite slab, get 99 copies of it, and then once I summon Fromt, I can break down the Titanite slab into Titanite chunks, and then I will have a plus 15 weapon. And if I just max dexterity, oh hey, a Pyroflame. Definitely was no need to start Pyromancer there, very happy I didn't do that. Although I guess I'm still missing a Fireball to really have the same kind of start. But I was talking about the upgrade for the plan for the Scimitar. So once Frump is summoned, he will allow you to feed him not just items for souls, but he will also allow you to feed him upgrade materials, which will break them down into their smaller versions. So I can feed him some of these 99 slabs that I will have, and he will break them down into chunks. Now it's time to talk to Petrus. He gives me a shield here. That's actually kind of useful. There's plenty of shields, but I'm always just happy to see the first one. At least the first shield I can parry. And oh hey, it's a rapier.
Come again.
We'll talk about that more later. I'm always pretty happy to see the first shield because I need a shield, at least a shield I can parry. I'm gonna probably want that for something called depth ski skip, which I just like to do to get into the depths early, even if I don't find the depth ski, meaning that it could be anywhere and there's not even necessarily going to be an item behind it. I just like getting that out of the way early because there's also 2 merchants on the way there. So seeing that shield makes me pretty happy, and it's also why I mentioned the ability to start with the shield in character creation, because there was like only one class that had a shield. So to recap now, we've already picked up Elizabeth's mushrooms, which are amazing for healing. We've picked up a pyromancy flame, meaning that if we find any pyromancy, we can just cast any spell that we want through spell swapping. We have the Quelax Fury Sword, which is going to downgrade into a Scimitar plus 10, which can be upgraded all the way up to plus 15 because of the very large Ember and the Titanax Slab. And we have a Rapier, which will let us move swap, should we want to pivot. Because that is now a second late game plan that we have, but this does require finding an item or a weapon that can be used for that, and this Earned Merchant Shop does not have one such weapon. It does have a Ring of Favor and Protection and a Divine Blessing. I'm just looking through here to see how to do this shopping. Usually you can get all the things that you want. Why am I quitting out here? Oh, I had to take a brief pause. That's fine, this is not my PB. This isn't going on the leaderboard. I'm not sure if this pause would be allowed. It says 1 pause every 30 minutes. It hasn't been 30 minutes yet, but I'm not going to pause anymore. And naturally, this run is going to last more than 30 minutes. I do prefer just having a run that doesn't pause though, because you know the primary time of the randomizer leaderboard is in real time, and it gets a bit weird with starting and stopping the timer. Although I guess it doesn't need to be that precise. It's usually, you're not gonna have differences of like 1 second usually. Anyway, now trying to figure out how to do this shopping. And it's gonna start by getting, no? What did it start with again? I need more souls, that's what it starts with. I believe it's gonna start by getting arrows. Yes, exactly. There's arrows for 50. Now we have 145 arrows, and we can use this quantity of 145 to buy more items. So we can store this quantity and then buy 145 copies of whatever we want from this merchant. This is actually pretty slow. I am making a ton of small mistakes in how I'm doing this. And I believe there's a relatively big soul in here that I want to buy with this. Yeah, there's a hero soul. That's 145 hero souls, and now we can just pop these for 10,000 souls at a time. That's typically the first part of the merchant menuing. And now I'm going to get more arrows. That was not nearly enough souls to get 999 arrows, which is the second goal. Although it's not that required. It will be very useful later, eventually, to have 999 copies of one type of arrow. Just finish up the stack here of bolts. Both of these rings are useful. Dragon scales may be useful. We do have a plan already, but if I can find like a dragon tooth move swapped, that will probably be a better plan. So I think I'm gonna try here to get the upgrade materials. Except first I'm going to buy the... Oh, yeah. Those were alluring skulls, which are not useful at all, but they are... Oh, those were homeward bones. They are useful. And I bought 999 of them, which means that if I click these again, the game will calculate that I can only hold negative 900 of them, and you're seeing that quantity right here. We can use that quantity for another quantity storage, insert it into the drop prompt, and drop negative 900 Elizabeth mushrooms. That doesn't give me 900 of them because they are capped at 999, so we end up at 99. Do the same for the Titanite and the Titanite slab. I am terrible at this, man. That needs to be so much better. I also frequently get confused about what exactly is where in my hotbar. I don't pick the things up, talk to the guy. Oh, that didn't work. Do it again. Now we just need the dragon scales. Oh, those cost 20,000, I forgot. I need 10,000 souls. But I suppose we can pivot and buy the divine blessings. I also needed those. And now we pop 2 of the hero souls. Now we pop 2 of the hero souls. Not sure what I am thinking here when I did this run. And now we have enough souls to buy 999 dragon scales. Boom. And that should be everything that we want from this guy. Unless I also want to empty out the weapon tab. Or did I miss something? Because we're doing it again. What else does he have? Did I want fire bombs? Yeah, fire bombs, okay. Now we're done. Those are regular fire bombs though, but you do want fire bombs eventually. I probably could have just not cared about the 999 quantity though. And just like consumed 1 soul and then pressed down on the fire bombs. On the quantity prompt. Get however many you can afford with 10,000 souls. But now I have 999. Well, there will be 99 once I use one because they're supposed to be kept at 99. But we're done with the merchant. And that was actually a pretty slow merchant. There was a lot of things to do and I did not do them very efficiently. But it's now time to start getting some additional pickups. That is an orange chartering, which is nice to see. Yeah, it's nice to see. This allows me, if I wanted to, this allows me to just go into Isolith immediately after killing Quelaag. Because we can skip the Golden Fog Gate, that's not a problem. And that would save me the trouble of having to go down to Blighttown twice, in case I don't have the Lord Vessel by the time I get there, which is usually the case. But also, it's not that fast, honestly, because you do have to kill Ceaseless. And if you're killing Ceaseless without taking any bonfires, you're gonna have to run all the way back from the Ceaseless arena, which is also pretty slow. And then of course you're also gambling because there's no way you're going to take all of the checks in Demon Ruins and Lost Isolith. Like the check in the lava, I mean you can take it, you have the orange shard ring, but that check takes so long to get. And then also the chest behind the rock worms takes so long to get, and you can't bone back from them because you're not taking any bonfires. The objective is to run through Isolith in one go and then bone back to Firelink. So like either it's really slow, or you have to gamble on there not being anything important in the really slow checks. I believe I do usually end up taking that gamble though, but like it's not that obvious that it's such a good idea. But it's nice to have the option at least. Now we're making it to the Drake. Unfortunately, the Quilax Fury Sword is not very good at gutting this tail, because, well, this thing is pretty resistant to fire, being a fire-breathing drake. So, after getting peppered with crossbow bolts, we're just gonna get the fuck out and accept that we're not getting the tail cut. We will go back though to pick up the items in there, although I'm not actually sure what I'm still looking for. I have mushrooms, I have divine blessings. Oh hey, a great club. That's actually pretty good. So we did get kinda lucky on those pickups, but I'm still not sure that I should have picked them up. Like I have a late game plan. This great club is or can be pretty good. Actually, it's not that good yet because we don't have the large ember, and the very large ember by itself doesn't allow you to upgrade up to plus 10. It only lets you go past plus 10. So we would still need the regular large ember in order to get this great club all the way up to plus 15. If we do, it will deal a lot of damage, but we're not guaranteed to really find that like at all. And then pick up this item, another item that I'm not sure that we should pick up. Because if you don't pick up, you can, oh damn, you can not get wrecked like this. But you can prevent this gate from falling down, which does take a while to go back up. We did find a fireball in the item pickup. So now we are basically on par with the Pyromancer start. That was the one alternative that we were looking at. Here we find a wolf ring, also very useful. Extra poise is really nice. And I believe this is actually the first ring, or at least the first, no, it's not the first ring. The first noteworthy ring, except for the orange shard ring that we found. So it's getting immediately equipped. Firekeeper Soul still pretty useful, despite the fact that we have both of the two overpowered healing items, the Divine Blessing and the Elizabeth Mushroom. The Firekeeper Soul does sell to front for 1000 souls, and we can sell 999 copies of this, which is 999,000 souls. That's pretty good. So we'll certainly be doing that. Now on this bonfire, yeah, do a little bit of a trick here to open the menu at the same time as lighting the bonfire so that we can menu during the bonfire lighting animation, just to open the quantity prompt for the 999 arrows, so that we don't have to do that here in case you want to buy 999 copies of something. But he doesn't have a lot of good, really good items. Here Andre doesn't really have many interesting things. Wait, I opened the quantity prompt. I don't need to. Okay. It didn't need to look at the quantity anymore there. I did forget that I have the very large ember, which when you speak to him for the second time he's gonna ask for that, and the prompt that appears to confirm that you want to give it to him, it will prevent you from doing quantity storage. So I should have just cleared that prompt out before trying the quantity storage. And then I did use it to buy Titanite chunks, which is slightly faster or at least more convenient than breaking down the Titanite slabs at front. And here I'm just gonna immediately break down the Quilax Fury Sword and then upgrade it. Yeah, just get a plus 15 scimitar. Oh yeah, that's why I'm buying the chunks here, because I can upgrade immediately here instead of having to wait for front. I also upgraded the bow there. And then I'm leveling dexterity because the scimitar is a dex weapon. And the upgrade to the bow is probably going to be useful later. It's pretty likely that this is the one bow that we're gonna get for the rest of the run. And having an upgraded bow is pretty useful for a butterfly, among other things, and also butterfly and Ingward in case we need to kill Ingward. Both of those are enemies, or well, enemies that we will need to, or we will want to shoot arrows at. I really should find a better way to get past that Boulder Knight with random equipment. It's probably just baiting him and running back. But running back feels so bad. Now this gargoyle fight is gonna be pretty easy with a plus 15 weapon. You're really not supposed to have this kind of damage in this fight. Do take a bit of time here to attempt to cut the tail. But I'm not actually sure that I should still be putting this much effort into obtaining new items. Like I said earlier, I have Divine Blessings, I have Elizabeth's Mushrooms, I have an endgame plan, so what am I really looking for? The only thing, well, I mean, Homeward would be really nice, but there are only 2 copies of Homeward in the whole game. So the odds of any individual item being Homeward are just almost non-existent. It would be really, really cool to find Homeward. But like, it's probably not gonna happen. And I just don't think that it's worth it to pick up items specifically for Homeward. Oh hey, look, a bow. Did I just say that we were going to use the longbow for the rest of the run? Well, we're using this one. This one is better. I do realize that I forgot to clear out the weapon inventories of any previous merchants, so I will clear out the entire inventory of Oswald and then prompt swap into it to buy an invalid weapon, because I'm very likely going to want to do depth ski skip later. In fact, that's coming up after the next boss, unless I happen to find the Lord Vessel. So now we're pretty set for damage at least, but the key items are not looking that good. We have found the orange charge ring, and that's basically it. And the orange charge ring isn't even technically required, but it does save a lot of time. Here's another key item check. That one was useless. Surely I'm going to stop picking up random items soon. As I was saying, I have almost every consumable that I want. I don't think it's worth it to pick up items for Homeward. And there is one more consumable that would be nice to have, and that is the Green Blossom. But you will not find Green Blossoms on pickups on the ground, or fixed pickups. You will only find Green Blossoms on random enemy drops and in merchant inventories. So if I'm looking for Green Blossom specifically, which, I mean, even if they were available as random pickups, I mean, that's another hit, I suppose. But if that's the only thing I'm looking for, there's no way that's worth it to picking up all the items for. So yeah, I'm just not sure that I should be picking up this many items. Also, we're doing some inventory management here. Just trying to make the inventory as clean as possible. And then finish off the inventory management here, because you can't drop items you have equipped, and you can't change your equipment while you are sitting in the nest. So we couldn't do that earlier. And you kind of have to wait a little bit for the hollows to run past you anyway. And Stray Demon is just a punching bag, really. This is pretty much always going to be a fight that just takes a while. Unless you have like really good damage this early. You could of course choose to not do him this early. But there are two checks behind him. Which, you know, you could get those checks without killing a Stray Demon. But then you're gonna have to come back later. And that's almost certainly gonna be slower than just killing him a little bit slower now. And I do like getting these checks early, because they can be the Lord Vessel. And if they are, then that would let me skip the second journey to Blighttown, because then I would be able to take the Daughter of Chaos Bonfire and warp back from there. I didn't mention it when it happened, but I did skip the drop from Stray Demon. He drops an item on the ground, which is normally a Titanite slab. But I did apparently decide that now is the time to stop picking up random shit, and just didn't go and pick that up. I'm probably also not going to pick up the item at the end of the walkway here, either. Oh, I am. That makes no sense. If I'm skipping the Stray Demon drop, I should be skipping this item as well. I'm pretty sure I should be doing that. Now it's time for Depth Key skip, so we have a shield and an invalid weapon. And then we need to press parry at the end of the block animation. And then we get in this really weird state where all of our animations are halved, and that lets us clip through the side of this ladder out of bounds here. And now we can jump down to get to the Copper Demon arena, but first there's a merchant here who we can actually interact with from above the walkway, like this. Find some black fire bombs, that's nice. Nothing else useful here. Twinkling Titanites may be nice. I'm probably gonna try to buy those. Nope, okay, we're already at... No, I am going back. I am going back. Yeah, get the Twinkling Titanites. Just in case that we find something like a Black Knight Greatsword, that would still be better damage than the plus 15 Scimitar that we're going for. And, you know, I said I'm going to skip all the pickups, but I will still be looking at merchants. Because merchants have a lot of items for not a lot of time investment. Also, I failed that. I'm gonna have to fight Copper Demon again. Anyway, merchants have a lot of items for not a lot of time investment, so I will still be talking to merchants. And those might have a Black Knight Greatsword, who knows? So it's probably just a good idea to get those upgrade materials. Now, can we finally get properly into the fight and do it normally? Ding ding, block the dogs, then kill the dogs if they cooperate. They do not cooperate. There we go. Now just kill the Copper Demon and then quit out as he dies. There we go. And now that saves the kill to the Copper Demon, but also respawns me back up top here. Which we need, because then we can drop down to this seam. Well, it's not a seam at the start, it only becomes a seam about here. As you can see, I fell off. And then walk this seam almost to the end, and then we can drop down into the depths. I should probably learn how to run along this seam for how many times I do this. Like, I do this almost every rando run. But I still haven't learned how to sprint across it. And then we quit out here against the edge of this walkway, and then we just fall through. Boom. Now we're in the depths. There's 2 key item pickups that we're gonna grab here. The first one is the large ember chest behind the butcher. I should not be doing that plunge. Okay, it worked out. That's the Lord Soul Shard. That's very nice. That means we would have had to come here anyway. I would have had to pick that up anyway. It's not that big of a deal though. Because that's one of the fastest checks that you can get. Which is also just the reason that I like coming here. The checks in this place are really fast. You don't really have to go very much out of your way. The only really slow part about this is the depth key skip itself. And then Dome Null has basically nothing. Or does he? What am I buying? Oh, feather. Am I buying feather arrows? Oh, I'm buying the DGH. Why am I buying the DGH? Oh, the talisman. Do I need the talisman? Oh no, I remember. I believe, I must have missed it completely, but I believe there is a sunlight blade. A sunlight blade miracle in my inventory. So the plan is not just to have a plus 15 scimitar. The plan is to have a plus 15 scimitar with sunlight blade. And we are going to be able to make that work because we will have plenty of souls. Thanks to Frampt doing a very generous donation to us. First we're going to have to make him appear, of course. So we're just going to have to get through this Gaping Dragon boss fight. Then get down to Blighttown to ring the second bell. So that we can get our big souls. Unfortunately, Priscilla's dagger is significantly less useful than the Lord Vessel would be. So we are gonna have to get down into Blighttown with the possibility of not being able to warp back from there. But that's just like expected, honestly. So I'm not too worried about this. Oh, I do equip the orange shard ring here because I do seem to have the intent of doing early Izalith. And once again, we're skipping the items, even the ones that are really easy to pick up, because there's just not that many more hits that we can find. I believe I did look up the location of the homeward after this run was done. I don't think it was findable. Maybe I shouldn't have said that at the start of the run, like in the first quarter of the run. And there's a large ember. So now we do have the ability to upgrade our Great Club to plus 15. And there's also the Lord Vessel. That is very convenient. This not only lets us skip the return trip to Blighttown, although I was probably going to do early Izalith, having already equipped the orange shard ring. But now I'm probably not going to do it anymore. But that's not the only thing that this lets us skip. It also lets us take the bonfire ahead of here and just warp back from the 2 checks that we still need to pick up on this side, instead of having to run all the way back through the poison swamp. But yeah, we do now have the option to take our Great Club all the way up to plus 15 and then move swap it. And that is very likely going to be better damage than the scimitar, even with Sunlight Blade on it. Probably. But for now, I mean, we could warp to Andre right now and do that right now. But I don't really think that that in particular makes sense. Because the plus 15 should be more than adequate to... The plus 15 Scimitar should be more than adequate to fight Quelaag. And then our next stop is... Or our next trip is going to take us to Undead Parish anyway. Because we're just gonna go straight into Sen's Fortress from here. Also, I have no idea what the fastest way to get through Blighttown is. I am just mindlessly looking for the non-swampy ground and thinking, surely that's faster. Yeah, unequip the orange chartering here because we have abandoned the plan of the early Izalith. And the reason, the primary reason that I am abandoning the plan of the early Izalith here is because of the check in the swamp. Like there's a second swamp in Izalith with the Chaos Eaters that has a chest that normally has the red Titanite slab. And that one takes really, really long to get. And if we do Izalith early, I mean I said that you want to skip the checks that take really long to get. But I mostly mean the 2 checks in the Demon Runes with that. Because the check in Izalith, the red slab check in Izalith, that one can have the broken pendant. And the broken pendant can only appear in places that are behind the Lord Vessel. So the odds of finding the broken pendant in that particular spot are significantly higher than finding something important in some random check that is not behind the Lord Vessel. So you kind of really don't want to skip that one in particular. I mean, you could gamble on it, really. But that's probably going to backfire when you eventually, if you consistently gamble on that. Or at least it's going to backfire much sooner than skipping the lava check would. So you're probably going to end up taking the red slab chest if you do early Izalith. And that's why I'm delaying it, because if I can get lucky enough to not need to take that check, that would be a significant time save. So there's not much point to doing it this early. Now it's time to get our generous donation from our good friend Framt. Using quantity storage to sell 999 of all of these things that sell for 1000 or more souls. Unfortunately, we don't have any boss souls or any other items that sell for significantly more than 1000. We do have the one Firekeeper soul, and we have the hero souls, which I will also sell here. But I'm not gonna bother selling anything that sells for less than 1000. This is already plenty of souls. Get the dexterity up to the soft cap. Get the attunement up to 16 for some reason. Probably to have a bit of additional room after a potential homeward wrong warp. Then get faith up, because I am still intending to use... never mind. Change my mind there. Not intending to use any shenanigans there. Just going for max strength there. 66 is the hard cap, effectively, because when you two-hand, your strength is counted as if you had 50% more. So having 66 strength while two-handed effectively brings you up to 99, which is of course the hard cap for all stats. And then before we get into Sense Fortress, just take a quick visit to Andre, give him the large ember, and upgrade our great club to be the greatest club of all time. And also, while we're at it, upgrade the bow. This may not be worth all the time that it takes to upgrade this bow all the way to plus 15, as I'm going to do. Also, this Demon's Great Hammer is really, really in the way. We're gonna have to fix that inventory before we do any kind of move swapping, because otherwise we're gonna end up with a move swapped DGH instead of a move swapped Great Club. Right, and now I want to say that our damage is going to be pretty good, but that would be an understatement. At least once we get the inventory sorted here. There's probably better moments to do this than the run up to Sense Fortress. But I didn't realize that it would be a problem until now. My mind also wasn't really on using the Great Club at all until we found the large ember in Blighttown. Like, I kept it just in case, but I wasn't really considering it as a likely option. Find Cast Light here. That is probably going to be useful, or well, that may be needed. There is exactly one check that strictly requires Cast Light. We may not need it at all, but it's nice to see it early so that we can just get it should we need it. Did not mean to pick up that gold pine resin, certainly. Couldn't even know that it was a gold pine resin. I was just trying to get into the fog gate, and then I spammed a bit too hard, a bit too early. And that pickup, oh my god, that pickup made me slow enough that I just barely didn't make it up here. Normally you can just run up here and just barely squeeze by the boulder. But that pickup made me lose enough time that it didn't work. Why am I move swapping here? That's probably fine. Doesn't really matter. I'm gonna need this move swapped because I have to get rid of these enemies. I was just thinking move swapping into a fog gate doesn't really look like the best possible moment to move swap, because you're gonna regen all your stamina. Wait, no, that doesn't make any sense, but that was probably fine. We did pick up a Guardian Soul there. So if I want even more stats, I could go back to Frumpt and sell 999 Guardian Souls. But I'm probably not gonna end up doing that. Like, my health bar isn't as big as it could be, but it's fine. And the primary reason that I usually would go for a large health bar is for the ability to do Isolith without the orange charge ring. But we have the orange charge ring, so I don't really need that much health. And, you know, if I really need a ton of health, then I have Elizabeth mushrooms. And the constant health regen from those is going to give me a very, very large effective health bar. Like, unless I take so much damage that I just get one shot, the continuous healing means I can basically keep tanking damage until the healing stops. Because there's very, very few things in this game that will deal more damage per second to you than what the mushrooms will heal. Like, I'm pretty sure this health doesn't survive a combo from Menace, but the mushroom just out-healed the combo, so that doesn't matter. Oh hey, a power within. And a ring of favor. I already have one. I'm not buying power within. There's no way I'm not buying power within. Surely I'm just gonna talk to him again when I run back up. I have a pyromancy flame. And I am pretty sure I remember at this point that I have a pyromancy flame. So I'm expecting to see myself running back in. Running back to the merchants to pick up the power within. No? Okay. That's probably a mistake. I'm pretty sure it's worth it to cast power within shortly before a fight and then move swap. Like, it's a bit more setup, but it's gonna add so much damage. I guess it kind of depends on the fight though. Like, some fights are just gonna be pushovers regardless. Like the one you're about to see, actually. Although I wouldn't be able to have power within for this fight anyway, because I wouldn't be able to attune it. Like boom, boom. Boom, boom. And then one more. And then he's dead. And then he drops the crystal ember. Also, my menuing of my inventory is fucked up because I did not realize that this Dragon Slayer spear that I got from the chest behind Ricard, did not realize that that would go between the club and the bow. But there's an elevator coming up, so we can fix this. But I wanted to talk about this crystal ember because this is a very, very good timing for this crystal ember to appear, because at the end of the Honor Londo section we are going to visit the blacksmith because there's a chest behind him. We have to go there. I guess you could choose to skip the chest, but it's also a merchant who has a reasonable amount of items, so I do typically go there. And the giant blacksmith will take the crystal ember and will let you make crystal weapons, which are of course stronger versions of the plus 15 weapons, with the major drawback that they have significantly less durability. But they deal really, really, really good damage. And I'm not really intending to have to refight that many bosses. Like, if I'm gonna die in this run from this point on, it's probably not gonna be to a boss fight. So I'm not expecting to really have to spend much more than the minimum number of attacks needed to kill a boss. And I am pretty sure that the durability of the Crystal Great Club plus 5 is just enough. Just enough to get through the game. I get vacuum backstab there, amazing. It wasn't that much of a vacuum backstab. Then we have to get past this guy. Oh my god, that was actually really dangerous. I'm pretty sure he could have backstabbed me there and I would have just died. And of course, not having taken the Honor Londo bonfire, that would have been a pretty bad death. I'm actually not entirely sure if you should skip the Honor Londo bonfire. I feel like it is slightly faster to not take it. But I'm not entirely sure in this situation here, because we don't have the peculiar doll. So that means our method of getting to the Honor Londo bonfire without having taken it is going to be to suicide after getting all the other checks here in Honor Londo. because deaths in Dark Anorlondo will always take you, respawn you back at the main Anorlondo bonfire. And we will be making Anorlondo dark because we're about to kill Gwendolyn right here. And killing Gwendolyn doesn't make Anorlondo dark, but what it does do is it makes the Firekeeper hostile without moving her. So if we don't make Anorlondo dark after this, then the next time we go to the Anorlondo bonfire, there will be a hostile Firekeeper next to it, and we will not be able to use the bonfire. And making Anorlondo dark will move the Firekeeper away from the bonfire so that we can still use it. The alternative is to not kill Gwendolyn, which I am doing a very good job of right now, but that's not my plan. My plan is to kill Gwendolyn, that's why I'm in this arena. And he is a check, and he also has 3 additional checks behind him, so you kind of really don't want to skip him. Like, you could do him at any point during the run once you have the Dark Moon Tomb bonfire. But these checks, okay, the run from Gwendolyn is relatively long. It's longer than you would think, but it's 3 checks, and he himself is also a check. So I'm pretty sure you still want to do this early. And the main reason, it's a little bit related to the main reason that we want to be doing, that we want to make Anorlondo dark, which is that whenever you exit the painted world, your last bonfire will also get set to the main Anorlondo bonfire. And we don't have the doll right now, so we're gonna have to go find it somewhere and then come back and then exit the painting. And then the fastest way to get out is to just bone back. But that homeward bone will take you to the main Anorlondo bonfire. And if the Firekeeper is hostile and Anorlondo isn't dark, then we can't warp away from there. So then instead we would have to run all the way through the bottom of the Painting Guardian room, and then run all the way down the stairs to get to the Dark Moon Tomb bonfire and warp away from there. Honestly, that may not even be that much slower than killing Guinevere. I've never actually timed it, but it is the reason that I usually end up killing Guinevere, unless I have the doll early. But I feel like that doesn't happen very often. The doll is one of those items that is just annoying to get, really, very often in the randomizer. And so now we're gonna make our way through Anorlondo, but I should finish the thought from earlier about making Anorlondo dark. So I want to end up doing that, because otherwise I would have to run back from the painting. And so if I were to delay killing Gwendolyn instead, then I'm hoping to find the peculiar doll before I'm gonna feel the need to kill Gwendolyn. Because like I said, he is a check, and he has 3 additional checks behind him. So like the doll could be in there, and I could be looking everywhere else for the doll, and I wouldn't find it because it could be in there. So eventually you're gonna have to decide, like, no, I need to go kill Gwendolyn right now. And if at that point you've already finished Anorlondo and you haven't made Anorlondo dark, then you still have to run out of the painting whenever you go there. Because you're not gonna go back at that point to make Anorlondo dark, that's way too long. Also, this is clearly the hardest jump in the game. Anyway, I just don't think it makes sense to skip Gwendolyn for the chance of being able to not have to make Anor Londo dark. Yeah, there's a Silver Knight in the doorway. Really annoying when he does that. Fortunately, in this run, we can just deal with him. Find the depth key. And now I'm trying to remember if there was anything interesting in the depths. Oh, and also find the Covenant of Artorias. That's very, very nice. And yeah, there was one Lord Soul in the depths. But there was nothing really that would have... I don't remember there was anything that made me really, really happy that I went there early. So I suppose in this seed I could have just gone there later. Would have found the depth key here regardless. And I would not have been able to skip Anor Londo anyway, because the Covenant of Artorias was right there. And that's also a hard requirement. Now this ONS boss fight is just gonna kind of fall over. If they want to cooperate. No, the Orange team does not want to cooperate. It does not need to though. This is what we do to bosses that don't cooperate. Okay, it's also what we do to bosses that do cooperate, but that's that's not how you scare them into submission, you know. The guy is still not cooperating. He did not get the memo. Also, my brain is not cooperating either, apparently. Missing the stamina management and all that. And then unfortunately we ended up on this side, so we have to take this elevator, which is the slower one of the two. But it does give us some time to do a bit more inventory management, because we have picked up quite a bit of garbage since last time we did that. And should Guinevere run in and then run out, so that we can just barely get the cutscene. If you're not in that room at the right moment, then you will not get the cutscene and Anor Londo will not turn dark. And you will have to come back to the room if you want it to ever turn dark. So you can't just leave. Now we're gonna get to the giant blacksmith, where we're gonna turn our weapons into crystal, and there's also one check behind him that we need. And maybe he also has some green blossoms, because those are the one consumable that I would still like to find. Maybe he even has homeward. Actually, I already said that there was no homeward in the seed, but maybe he does. Oh hey, he does have green blossoms. Very nice. Just press down on those, by however many I can afford. I believe that was 99, because I still have plenty of souls left. Give him the crystal ember, and then it's upgrading time. First we gotta downgrade, not the scimitar. Actually no, I do want this scimitar to be crystal, not lightning, crystal. There we go. It would have been, well, upgrading the scimitar wouldn't have been that bad, but making the Great Club lightning, well, I can downgrade it. It's fine. The only weapons you can downgrade are exactly these ones, the crystal weapons. Which is the reason that I also upgraded the scimitar to plus 15, just in case that the Great Club breaks too soon, then I still have at least a plus 15 weapon that I can use. It's gonna be less good, and if I am really, really worried about these things... Oh, I did buy Power Within. Oh wow. I am so blind. I really, really thought that I didn't buy Power Within from the Crestfallen Merchant there back in Sense. That made no sense though. Anyway, if I was really worried about the Great Club breaking too soon, then I would probably be using the Scimitar on like the easier bosses, and then only use the Great Club when I when I really feel like I need the additional damage. But I'm not that worried. Like I'm worried enough that I want to have this backup option, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be necessary. So I will be using the Great Club on literally everything. Run past these guys, make our way to Seath. Do a bit of inventory management on this elevator. Drop the spare talisman, spare shields. Actually, it took a bit too long there. The elevator was already up. Probably could have exited a little bit faster. And here you see the power of the wolf ring. That's not the power of the wolf ring, that's just me being bad. But that arrow that I took there, that's normally, and this one as well, that staggers you if you don't have the poise for it. But the wolf ring gives you so much poise. It's just so convenient. You can literally ignore almost anything. Can I equip the shield here? Oh yeah, because I'm pretty low on health. So yeah, if I take one more arrow that is not blocked, then I die. So I'm being a greedy little bastard here, trying not to heal. Save like the few seconds that it takes to pop this Divine Blessing. Which is why I equipped the shield there. And then try to make it through there without needing to heal or quit out. And it worked. But it was actually kinda risky. Probably shouldn't be doing that, to be honest. Probably should not be doing that. So normally you would just run down here and get immediately to Seath, but we've got to turn this staircase because there's another check up there. And this one would be pretty lengthy to get back to later, so we don't really want to skip it. And hey look, it's the broken pendant. So now we're looking pretty good on the key items. We are missing one Lord Soul, we are missing the Peculiar Doll, and we are missing the Crest Key. Now the Crest Key is not technically required, especially with the damage that I have. I could just do Godless Calamite, but I don't know how to do Godless Calamite, which is a pretty big problem. So I will still be looking for the Crest Key in order to fight Calamite normally. I also don't have RTSR. I do have Power Within, of course, but Godless Calamite isn't that fast. I don't think it would work that well. You also can't combine Power Within with Elizabeth Mushrooms, and you probably can work in some Divine Blessing usages in the Godless Calamite. So I don't think you should be scared of dying to Godless Calamite, or to the Power Within doing it while doing it. But I don't think you can get the buff on like all of the hits that you're gonna need to do either. And so this is now the uncertain phase of the run, where I need some very specific key items and I have no idea where to go find them. And I would really like to find these fast. because this is a pretty good run overall. And if we can find these key items soon, then this is gonna end up pretty fast. Like if we can just skip the checks in most of the areas that are coming up. But that does require getting lucky, essentially. So I can try to go to the places where I have the highest chance to find the items I need fast. But this is the part where I'm just really not sure what those places actually are. Because a lot of places right now have very similar amounts of key items. And also relatively similar timings, honestly, to pick them up. Anyway, we're in the seed fight. Shoot the crystal. Move swap the great club. And smack his ass. Oh, there's a clam in the fight. Oops. Yeah, with power within, this guy is just not gonna last very long. Even without power within, I would have maybe needed to do like one more attack. Now the question of where to go from here is usually answered by the DLC. Because I do have the DLC, and any of the other items that I need could be literally anywhere. And the DLC does have 4 bosses that each can drop checks. Or that each are checks because they can all drop key items. And then it has a bunch more checks scattered around it. But they're not all the fastest to pick up. And that's actually what makes me unsure about this plan now of going into the DLC. Especially so because I don't have the Crest of Artorias, I believe. Which is why I rested at the Undead Parish bonfire. Because I'm gonna now make my way to Butterfly. And I could hope that I find the Crest of Artorias at the Butterfly. And then take the bonfire right here in Darkroot and then just open the door after Butterfly. But the odds of that are not great. Not at all. So I just took the safer play here to rest the Undead Parish bonfire. Make sure I end up there when I bone back after Butterfly. And then run to Darkroot from there. And the one upside, slight upside, to not having the Crest of Artorias when you go to Darkroot is that you will basically be running right past the Black Knight that is down there. And that guy is a check. All Black Knights are checks. So, you know, if he happens to have anything useful, or necessary even, we're gonna need that. And look at this bow damage. When the arrows hit, I suppose. Yeah, when the arrows hit, it does deal good damage. I was honestly not expecting this amount of damage, but I guess it is a crystal black bow of fire is plus 15, plus 5, crystal plus 5, with feather arrows, I believe even, and like 30 something dexterity. Also, that was a crest key that just dropped. So now we need the doll and 1 Lord Soul. And I'm just ticking off the items on the list that's in my head. I'm like, doll, Lord Soul. Those are the things that I need. And once I have them, both of them, we will be in full go mode and just rush all the bosses and see how fast we can end up. But for now, we're just gonna have to do all the checks. Also as fast as possible, of course. Damn, I almost slid off there because I got pushed by the wall. rolled into the wall and got pushed out. Do a bit of a skip there. You can probably drop a bit higher there, especially having the mushroom. This is literally the reason that I equipped that I used the mushroom. It's so that I can heal in between all of the drops and take bigger drops. And there's the peculiar doll. It's one more Lord Soul. And honestly, I am thinking right now, what if I abandon the plan to do the DLC and just go into the painted world instead? I'm not sure if that's a good idea or not. I have no idea actually. Like the DLC is gonna have 4 checks, although I'm gonna do at least one of those when I enter. It doesn't really make sense to not do Guardian. But then I'm probably taking the bonfire after Guardian as a safety bonfire anyway. So what if I just don't continue from there, warp the Darkmoon Tomb and do Painted World instead? Now it's not very clean, or it doesn't feel very clean to do it that way, because then when I exit the Painted World, then I have to bone back. That will put me at Anor Londo, and then from Anor Londo I have to then warp back into the DLC. And then if I still want this bonfire in the DLC as a safety bonfire, like I don't need to rest at that bonfire, but if I die, that will take me back to Anor Londo again, and I would have to warp. So I'm gonna end up doing bone, warp, rest, before I can continue on with the rest of the DLC. And regardless of which bonfire I do it at, or which bonfire I warp away from in the DLC, I'm gonna have to do that. And it just doesn't feel very clean to do it that way. Like if it was any other place, like let's say this was the Covenant of Artorias, and I wanted to check the Four Kings. That's not a very good example, because preferably you do Four Kings and Nito at the same time so that you use the Firelink bonfire for both of them. Whatever. Let's say I want to do the Four Kings. Like I could just, whenever I'm normally resting anyway, I could just warp to Firelink, do the whole of New Londo, do Four Kings, then bone back and just continue with what I'm doing in the DLC. But for the Painted World, there's an extra warp and potentially even an extra rest in between those. And that just doesn't feel clean. It's not that much of a time loss, and I'm spending way more time thinking about this than I probably should be. But it just doesn't feel clean. So yeah, we're just gonna run through the DLC and then decide what to do from there. Also do a bit more inventory management here. That spear would have been very nasty, because it's in between the bow and the club again. I have a decent idea of like the general order of weapons. Like I have no idea how they're ordered within categories, but I have a general idea of how the categories themselves are ordered. Like the spears will go below the clubs. And of course the bow will go below all of the weapon types, the melee weapons. And then the shields, and then the spellcasting tools, and then is the shields below that. And within the shields it's also the great shields lower than the regular shields. But within the weapons, I'm not, like I have a decent idea. And I know some of the things. But I don't know the order of all of the categories, and that sometimes messes me up. Here, oh, I do quit out. I was about to say, I'm not gonna quit out here because I have plenty of health to survive this punch. It's probably faster to just take the punch than to quit out. Like, because this is timed in real time, the quit out actually adds quite a bit of time. So, don't think I should have done that. Oh no, of course I quit out. Yeah. No. I am an idiot. No, the reason I quit out there is to spawn the crystal golem. The golden crystal golem. That's the whole reason I do the pathing this way. Because the golem in the back of this lake only spawns when after a reload. Like, he only spawns when you load the area when the Hydra is dead. So you can't just kill the Hydra and then walk to the back. He's not going to be there. You have to quit out and reload, and then he's going to be there. So the whole point of doing the pathing this way is that I can take the safety quit out for the mushrooms and have that be the same quit out that spawns the golem. And now we're making our way into the DLC. We're gonna nicely ask this Guardian to just fall over and die, please. That would be very, very convenient. Let's see if he cooperates. Ah, he's running, which, yeah, he's cooperating. Very good. Thank you, Guardian. That is very nice of you. Now, the one annoying thing about Power Within is that it's going to keep running. So most negative effects would be removed when you sit at the bonfire. The Power Within is not a negative effect. What am I attuning here? What do I want? Oh, I want cast light. Yeah. Right. And I also want to talk to the merchant here. Apparently.
Thank you.
Normally I don't bother going here, but I guess there are enough items. Oh, hey, a fog ring. That's convenient, although I may not be using it. Probably not gonna end up using it. But I guess there are enough items in Elizabeth's shop that I decided I would like another shot at getting homeward. Because I am missing exactly one Lord Soul. If I find homeward, I don't need the Lord Soul anymore. That's just as good. Here I believe I'm about to make a mistake because the goal here from the squid out, yeah, the goal for the squid out is to do an AFK setup so that the enemies here don't bother me when I'm picking up the item. But the AFK setup requires, also I'm running the wrong way. The AFK setup requires an empty second left hand slot, and right now there's a shield in there. So that didn't work at all. So I'm just gonna have to spam quit outs here. Like open the chest, quit out, then pick up the item, then quit out again. I believe the bowing down due to the item pickup is actually the only thing that made me survive there. So yeah, I should have unequipped the second left-hand item instead of the second right-hand item to start that AFK. I just forgot about the toggle animation being different if there's a shield. Then activate this elevator for safety. It's probably not going to be needed, but you know.
Oh.
I have made plenty of mistakes in this run already, and I will probably make plenty more. Oh yeah, I'm switching to the scimitar here. Because I don't need the Great Club to kill these dogs. So I'm just gonna use the scimitar here to kill them. To save like that little bit of durability onto the Great Club. I don't think it matters, I think I'm just wasting time unnecessarily. I think this is like the one occasion where I decide that the Great Club isn't necessary. Although it would be faster to kill them with the Great Club, because the move swap attack is just better. Like it just immediately produces a hitbox right in front of you, and usually that does hit the dogs properly, unlike the Clown Fiesta that you just witnessed. And the reason we kill the dogs is because we're quitting out on the item pickup to spawn back here, and now there's no dogs anymore. They would be really, really annoying if they were still alive. Just get a heal in, and then on the scream that he opens with, gonna get the green blossom in, and then we're gonna put him to sleep. Does not want to go to bed apparently. Damn, I suck at this game. Alright, good night. Done. It was not actually a good fight. Like, I'm dealing so much damage, but I also played that really badly. Mostly in a micro sense, like I missed two halves of a running attack, so that could have been finished one attack faster. Also, I didn't use power within. I believe I was going to, but then I move swapped and I was like, wait, now I can't power within anymore. And then I just rolled with it. Now we're on the way to Goff to talk to him. Get him to shoot down Calamite. Also look at his inventory while we're here. There's nothing interesting. And then get his talk prompt. Make sure to say yes, and then make sure to say yes again. And then when we bone back, also make sure to say yes, because this talk prompt puts your default confirmation box on no. And if you don't know that, that is very, very annoying. And I actually mentioned this at the start, but we do end up having to use the light right now. So this is actually the one advantage that the Pyromancer would still have over our Hunter start, which is that it starts with the Sunlight Maggot. Don't mind me getting wrecked here. This is a completely intended game design. This is just like a really, really hard room, honestly. Now we don't actually have the intelligence to cast light, but we can spell swap it, it's fine. So, come on, I'm not this bad at spell swapping, dude. Alright, there we go. So what that is it's casting the spell and then changing the spell on the same frame, and then on the next frame, casting the other spell with the other casting tool. And then that gives you the animation of the first one, but the effect of the second one, regardless of your ability to cast the second one. Anyway, get rid of these enemies and then run past here, and now we've got two more checks in here. There's another light check, where we can actually skip the light requirement. I believe I will try that because it's actually just faster. Even though I literally still have the light effect on. And then the second check is of course the Mimic, who should not be a problem at all. Yeah, we're gonna do the jump here. Boom, run over these railings, these planks. Get the check. It is not a Lord Soul. That's the wrong kind of soul. It's a soul that we don't have any use for whatsoever. And then jump back. Make it here. Get rid of the bloathead and then kill the Mimic. Don't need this much stamina. Why am I waiting? That is also not a Lord Soul. This is a pretty annoying part of randomizer runs, honestly. It's like you need like this one item and you can end up looking everywhere for it. Am I dying here? There's no way I'm dying here. I am such an idiot. I have Elizabeth mushrooms. Why did I not pop a mushroom before going in here? Normally when you have mushrooms, the strat is to just pop a mushroom and then you're basically unkillable. Also, why is this enemy not coming? Usually this enemy sees you. I died. Wow, I am such an idiot. You're not supposed to plunge immediately there. So either you quit out when you reach that elevator, which will respawn you with the elevator up, and also the bloathead in a different position, so not on the elevator. Or you wait a bit for the elevator to come up, and then you plunge. That kills the bloathead, and if you've waited long enough, then the elevator will be up high enough that you don't die to the fall damage. So now we're gonna try a different approach here for the run back. I'm gonna do the AFK again, but this time I am a fucking idiot. This time I have the correct item in the left hand to toggle to. But I took a drop there, which, yeah, that stops it. But now I did it properly and I can just run through these enemies. They are gonna turn, as you can see there with the sorceress, but they will not attack. And hopefully I can keep this up. It is very mentally taxing somehow to count to 4 and then count to 5 while also looking at your stamina. Yeah, and I messed it up. As you can see, they're not supposed to activate ever really, but they did. So I messed something up. But it's really not that easy to look at your pathing and your stamina and your toggles, and also, what is that spot? Please don't die again, man. Yo. Okay, there we go. We're safe now. Am I AFKing again? I'm not sure if that works. This may be too close. Like if they aggro within 5 seconds, then it's bad. Oh no, it works, it's fine. Because you only get an AFK like 5 seconds into the game. Because that's when the first AI update comes in. Right, and I'm actually keeping up the toggles here. There's no way I can keep it up for this long. But I have a vague hope of also AI breaking the sorceress that's coming up, who will shoot you in the ass if you don't deal with her. Yeah, if you do it well, you can keep enemies AFK literally forever. Okay, I'm gonna stop doing it. I figured at this point I probably messed it up already. Oh, I have the fog ring too. I probably just remembered like, oh, I have the fog ring, I should just use that. Wait, I don't even have it equipped. This is really dangerous. I could have easily died there. Hello, come on, power within. Then use the divine blessing, because otherwise it kills you. Wow, what am I doing? That was so close, dude. Did not remember that at all. Anyway, now we have power within and a critical and +5 move swapped, and a massive skill issue. The latter part is not helping, but all of those other things will make Manos die pretty fast. If we can just deal with the skill issue. Oh, he's just gonna let us. Yeah, okay, he's dead. That's like the best. Well, one of the two. No. No, that's not true. That's the best spell that he can do. Is the one where he shoots all of the little black orbs out, and then they converge onto you, and you have to run into melee range of him. Which seems really scary, but firstly, he's always gonna follow it up with a scream and not attack. And secondly, well, I'm a melee build. I'm gonna want to melee him. And thirdly, he just dies when that happens. So, so yeah, that's usually the best attack that he can do. Yeah, just the best attack that he can do out of all of the things. It's the best spell, but it's also just the best move in general. I have a vague plan here again of killing the dogs with the scimitar, apparently. But this is absolutely not necessary. You can just dodge them like this. Pop the power within, then jump down. I probably didn't need to use that divine blessing before jumping down, but I was a bit unsure about how much fall damage exactly it would give me. Fail some move swaps as you do, and then stick this club into the dragon. Please cooperate. Okay, thank you. That's probably, honestly, the biggest single hit damage that I've ever seen on Kalameet. Like, this thing does really, really, really good damage. But now we have a choice to make, and in this run I've already made it, as you may be able to tell by where I'm going. There are a lot of places, honestly, that we could go to now to try and find the last Lord Soul. And I have no idea, actually, if this is the correct decision, but I'm doing it anyway. And it's, of course, the Painted World. It also kind of just feels clean. Like, we have the Painted World left, we have Catacombs left, we have Four Kings left, and we have Izalith left. Those are the 4 options basically that we have, and we can do all of them. We have all the keys, all the items that we need to do all of them. So the choice is really just what order do we check them in. And Izalith is going to take a really long time. There's 2 bosses in Izalith that will give us key items, and then there's the 2 checks that really suck in Demon Ruins. Then there's another 3 chests in Izalith, and one of them also really sucks. So I kind of just don't want to go to Izalith. I may end up going to Izalith if I don't find the Lord Soul in here though, because I would take Izalith probably over Catacombs. Not sure, maybe I shouldn't. But if I do, then I may still take Izalith second, because it's much cleaner to just do 4 Kings and Nito at the same time. But there's the Lord Soul. We're in go mode. We have all the things that we need. Oh hey, hello Mr. Boneville. So once we revive, we're in go mode. We have all the things that we need. Nothing that I said matters, except, well, it matters in a different seed for the next run. Things to think about. But in this run, we've got all the stuff. We're killing bosses. We have, if I want to beat my previous PB, which is 159 in real time, I have 24 minutes to kill 9 bosses. That's not a lot of time, if you put it like that. But well, the first boss is right here. And 4 of those bosses are pretty close together in Izalith. And of course... Oh, are we dying? No, okay, I quit out fast enough. That happened in the last run as well. What the fuck is wrong with me? Like, this is not a hard trick. You just have to walk there. Boom. There we go. So yeah, 24 minutes, 9 bosses. Yeah, if you put it like that, that's less than 3 minutes a boss. That's not a lot of time for each of these bosses. Although, well, I do know that Gwyn at least can be done in less than 3 minutes. The run-up is like 2 minutes to run through the kiln and kill Gwyn. But I am a lot less sure about something like 4 Kings and Nito, Pinwheel Nito. And also Izalith even. There's a lot of running to do still. Now of course this run does go onto YouTube. And I've probably put the time in the thumbnail and or the title. Like, you know what it's gonna be. But I, at this point in the run, I'm like, can I make it? Can I PB with this? I will of course do my best, but I'm very unsure. Part of it is that I haven't ran this all that much, so I'm not intimately familiar with how long everything is gonna take. And of course I also can't look at the splits. Like, if there was a consistent route that you could do, and I guess the route that I do is like mostly consistent, especially in the early game. But ultimately you're not gonna have exactly the same route every time. So like, if there was a consistent route, I would have 26 individual splits for all of the bosses. And I could see like, oh, I am 5 minutes ahead. I can easily PB this. I just have to do everything just as fast as in my PB. That's of course easier said than done, especially in a randomizer run where I probably don't have the same kind of weapon that I did in the PB. But in this case, my weapon is better than what I had in my PB. So like, if I could see a delta time somewhere, I would probably know that I am comfortably ahead. But I don't have that, and I am not familiar enough with all of the timings of all of the segments. Also, I need to not mess up the bosses. I walked a bit too far forward, and so he did a little turnaround there before starting this attack. Just a few seconds time loss, but the boss fight is an easy 1 cycle with the amount of damage that we have. And now we've got another triple boss gauntlet. And here actually, now that we're in Izalith here, the decision to not go to Izalith early actually paid off here, because I don't need anything anymore. So I will be able to skip all the checks in this place. In particular, I will be able to skip the red slab check, and I am pretty happy about that. Like, if I had decided to do Izalith early, that would have been at least like 2 minutes for basically nothing, because there's not going to be anything useful in the red slab check. I suppose maybe it was homeward. No, maybe it could have been homeward. But like the odds are just not not good. You know, that's the kind of thing where it's like if that is true, then you just have to take it. You just have to take the L. Like that's not something that you can really. That's not the kind of high roll that you're like, I am going to gamble on this high roll. Unless, of course, I mean maybe eventually, if if randomizer runs get like more and more optimized, at some point you're gonna have to get lucky. I am not entirely sure though how. Like I'm not entirely sure how optimized they have to be in order for that to be a consideration. And like how much RNG will you accept once you do start really pushing for high rolls? Because I don't think it's gonna be very fun to like try to PB in a run where you have to get homeward and and a way to homeward wrong warp, and you have to find all of the other key items like within X amount of time. And that would be such a grind, dude. That would be such an RNG grind. Anyway, there's not a lot to say anymore. There's no real decisions to make anymore. We're just comfortably running through Izalith. Because we have the orange charge ring even. No need for any shenanigans, although we probably could do non-OCR shenanigans if we had to, but we don't have to. And we don't even need any checks, so we're just gonna rush straight to the boss. And then we're gonna of course do the same thing to Four Kings and Nito. The pathing on this staircase is kind of annoying because these branches, if you path a little bit wrong, these branches can really mess you up. This is in general true of Izalith. The collision on these branches is so wonky. Anyway, we are at the Bed of Chaos. Now we got to... we've equipped the fire bombs, because that is of course how we're gonna deal with the boss. Two-hand the bow so that we can aim the fire bombs. Then run into the spot, pop the green blossoms to stop, pop the green blossoms to stop. Then aim the fire bombs, throw the fire bombs, aim the second one. Oh, the fireball missed. Great. I'm trying to go fast here, dude. Why am I missing the fire bombs? And then there's a slight mistake here because the Pyromancy Flame doesn't have the same rolling attack, or it doesn't have a rolling attack at all, as the fist. And yeah, this bug is really annoying to hit if you don't have an attack that can really hit downwards, or has like a hitbox that goes all the way to the ground. You're just gonna end up fumbling around like that and losing a billion years. And here apparently I'm choosing now to go to Catacombs and Tomb of the Giants first. It doesn't matter at all, honestly. I rested at Firelink, so the plan here is just like these are the only two things left. We've got Nito and we've got Four Kings, and of course on the way to Nito we're also gonna kill Pinwheel. But that's all that's left. So the strat here is walk to Firelink, rest at Firelink, run to the first boss, kill him, bone back, run to the second boss, kill him, bone back, get to Firelink Altar, offer souls, run to Gwyn, kill him, done. Can of course talk about that really quickly, but it's going to take a non-zero amount of time to actually do that. Especially this Catacombs part. It's a pretty long run through. Fortunately we can make it a bit faster with the plunge right here. And then when we're almost down a delayed roll, boom, cancel the fall damage, and then dodge the bone wheels. Pretty unfortunate, I think, that you get 2 bone wheels. Usually I don't see 2 bone wheels when I do that. Also, I don't have a move swap yet. So, okay, more small time loss because I have to move swap in front of him. But he's just gonna die. Now, normally in a usual run, you would see people open up the menu after Pinwheel. And that's because Pinwheel normally drops the Rite of Kindling, and the Rite of Kindling gives this really, really annoying message about being able to kindle bonfires when you kill Pinwheel. And that will block you from interacting with the ladder. But if you open the menu, then that will block the message from appearing, and you can interact with the ladder immediately after the victory achieved message appears. But in Randomizer, he's not gonna drop the Rite of Kindling. That would be... It is a key item though, so it's not that unlikely to find a key item in its vanilla position. But it is pretty unlikely. Like, it's not gonna happen very often. Also, you shouldn't roll off of here. I don't know why I keep rolling there. It's probably gonna take like a really, really bad death to rolling off of there for me to stop rolling off there. And I just know it's gonna happen. But yeah, I don't know. I just can't walk off there. I just refuse to do it. Now in the Nito fight, as usual, we're gonna equip some heavy armor. And then we're gonna try to do another plunge fall damage cancel. Just so we have a little bit more health. And apparently I'm not even gonna care about health. Oh, also equip the wolf ring. Did remember that I have that in the run. Did not remember that I have that in this while doing this commentary. But that's gonna give me so much poise, and I'm gonna not care about the enemies at all. And just melt Nito. Honestly, I probably could have just used power within here too. But it may not even have been worth it, because I would have had to undo move swap, then redo move swap, then equip all the items. Because I'm not used to move swapping with heavy armor, that does have a different timing. So redo the move swap, then equip all the items, and then only then you can go in. And then you probably have to heal, because the power within will already have taken a decent amount of health. It's probably not even worth it. What is worth it, and doesn't cost any time, is using this green blossom right here on the elevator. Just very, very small optimization. You don't even need that much stamina regen to get to the seal skip. I do have the key to the seal, but it's just slower to open the seal and then also fight the Four Kings from where you enter the arena normally. Like, you just go here, you get over this ledge, quit out, And that will spawn you out of bounds. Well, this is only semi out of bounds, I guess. But then you roll down here and that's out of bounds. The reason that that first drop is semi out of bounds is because once the seal is opened, once New Londo is drained, that is actually just regular walkable terrain. You can literally just stand there. But with the seal closed, when New Londo is not drained, that is lethal. That's a lethal fall. There's a kill box there. Or something. There's some way that the game has to kill you. But you can avoid that with a well-timed quit out. And you can make it into the Four Kings fight from here, which is not only a faster way to get to the fight, but it's also a more convenient spawn because you're closer to where the kings appear. And look at this damage. This is like the easiest 2 kings fight of my life, dude. Ooh, it's almost a 1 king even. Okay, no, maybe not that close to 1 king, but that first hit was very, very conveniently close to doing almost all of his health in damage. So we basically did nearly 3 kings worth of damage just on the 1 king. And now the second one is just gonna die. Gotta wait for his hitbox to activate. And then he's dead. And now there's one more boss left. We have an hour and 50 minutes on the timer. And we are running into Gwyn. Now Gwyn can be a bit of a memer. But honestly, I don't think he's gonna have many chances to mess up, really. To mess us up, really. Unless, of course, I am the one messing up. Which is always a possibility. Now the fact that I don't have move swap here is telling me that I am going to try and power within him. I'm not sure if that is fast. It's definitely not necessary. Like, he will die regardless. It probably saves more than 1 attack. Probably does. I don't know. But like, I have to cast the spell and then move swap. Which, like, you can easily get at least 1 attack in, probably even 2 attacks in the time that you have to do both of those things. So like, should I even be casting it? I don't know. It's not gonna make the difference to the PB though. This is going to be a PB. We are 7 minutes ahead of the PB time. And we are not spending 7 minutes in the Gwyn fight. And we are also not spending 7 minutes running back to the Gwyn fight. I'm gonna do the any percent strat here, even of running back. I'm not actually sure if I should be doing that. Oh wow, dude. That is some damage. I'm not even sure if I should be doing the run back. Anyway, that is a 153 flat. And that was a really, really good run. I'm not actually sure if I would call it like a conventional God Seed. Having the doll be at the Basin Knight is definitely something that can really, really mess you up if you don't decide to do this early dark route like I did. I'm just gonna make a screenshot of my life split timer. But yeah, the doll can really mess you up, I think. And then of course there's a Lord Soul behind the doll. So if you decide that you want the Crest of Artorias, I'm not sure where it is, didn't look that up. Yeah, if you decide you want to get the Crest of Artorias, let's say you happen to find it. Let's say you go to like Catacombs first and you happen to find the Crest. Then you're gonna skip the Black Knight, you're gonna skip the doll. and you're not going to find it. So you're going to be spending, and you're probably going to prefer to take the checks in like in the other places before checking the Black Knight. It's like you're going to end up picking up a lot of checks if you do that. But anyway, that's the 153, and I am very, very happy with this run.